Alright guys, so what I'm working on is this old cast iron bandsaw. So several years ago I had added a motor to it that I had and put a new band on it. But there were some issues. The band, I actually bought the same size as what was on it, but it was already all the way out of tension adjustment. So as you can see, the blade has still got some give in it. So I think it wasn't quite the right size blade because the cuts would kind of wander. And also, the motor setup I had wasn't exactly ideal either. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is getting a small 3-phase motor and a little VFD to control this. That way I can have a lot finer tuned speed control. And then the table here. So right now it's loose. As you can see, there's a mount here that kind of allows it to swivel. And the same thing's on this side. So this side has the actual adjustment on it. That is over here, and this was broken. So yeah, so it's kind of a pain because it would be clamped in the lock position. You couldn't cut any angles. So what happened here, this is the part that actually mounts under the table. And then this screws into the side of this. One other thing I noticed too is the threads. I don't know if you can really see, but the threads are stripped out of this. So I'm going to probably have to build this up a little bit with some brazing and or drill it out, we'll see, and then make new threads. But I think since these threads are okay, this is steel and this is cast iron, I'm gonna try to just clean that out, fill that up with some brazing, and then drill that out and see if I can get threads in the brazing. I don't know, I've never tried to really make threads in something that was brazed, so might not work, we'll see. Worst case scenario, if the brazing is too soft, then I will just take it and drill it out a little larger and then rethread that larger, and then I'll make a new locking pin, because that is what allows it to lock. And I think how this failed is this got rusted solid, and then someone probably really tried to crank down on the table and then it broke the bracket. So this is the bracket that's busted. This fits right here. You can see the gold color. Someone's already brazed this back together. You can see it broke once before in another place. It's been all brazed back together, but it broke again. So what I'm doing is I just started cleaning this thing up. Hopefully I can add this little piece of steel in here. I'm gonna grind these. See how this notch, I started to grind this one already, but I need to just grind these out, clean that all up, get all the paint off of this side. I'm gonna take this little strip off because it looks like someone melted this while they were brazing it last time. So I'm gonna take this off, this little scale, what's left of it, and grind this all out, get it cleaned up, and then I'll get you a shot of the brazing. And hopefully that brazing job will be strong enough. And I'll clean all these parts up and figure out what I'm gonna do with this guy here. And then, since this is just a locking pin, it's like this isn't anything super critical. So hopefully the brazing will be enough to get those threads back in there. Or I could drill it out and press a bush in, just machine a little bush, press it in there, and then turn, steel threads in that, but we'll see. So that's the plan. I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up, and then I'll get you a couple shots of the brazing. All right, guys, so I went ahead and got everything cleaned up. Real nice, got some bevels on these corners here. Now I am gonna get this thing preheated, and then I got some brazing rod here, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy brazed. right, so I'm not, you know, a professional guy at brazing or anything, but hopefully that'll hold. I'm gonna flip it over now and see if I can see what it looks like on the other side. Maybe I'll add a little bit on the other side. All right, guys, so got this thing brazed up. Now it's not the most beautiful brazing job, but I ground it down a little bit. Again, I could grind this and clean this way up, but this was the previous repair. And yeah, it was brazed back here too. And it's up underneath the table, kind of hidden. So, and the more that I take off, the less strength there is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get a coat of paint on this thing, and then I think I'm happy with that. So again, this isn't trying to win any beauty contest. This is just something that's gonna be hidden under the table in my own garage. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this thing up underneath and see if it works. This hole that was stripped out, I just went ahead and drilled it out. I threaded it instead of 7/16, I threaded it to 1/2 inch fine thread. And then I'm just gonna modify this 1/2 inch bolt, put a T-head on it like this was, and then use that as the adjuster. I was talking about brazing it maybe, but that brazing probably wasn't gonna be very strong, and then I would have had to get it centered up just right in the middle, and I bet you the brazing probably would have torn out anyways. So, and I did a fine pitch thread to give it a little bit more threads to bite on, so hopefully it'll be less prone to tearing out. But we'll see what happens. So, all right, guys. So I got it all mounted up, and wrapped up. Besides coat of paint, but yeah, it's all working. You see our braze welding repair there, holding good. We got everything tightened down and greased up. So now, functioning good now. This thing's still hitting a little bit. Now I'm going to put the level on it. Put it down to 0. And now we lock this down. I need to, still need to put a, now it's good and solid. I still need to put a little T-handle on that. But yeah, the bolt fits in there. I just gotta cut it off and drill a hole through it. So now that that's fixed, the next phase of this project is gonna be the getting a little motor to replace. I don't like this setup of this thing because it's basically got the gear reduction, or the speed of the motor needed to run this was real weird. You needed a really slow motor, and I had one that was close, but then I had to speed it up. So I basically have a motor that's going into a big gear reduction, but then gets sped up again, and it's just a waste. It's really just a waste of power to slow something down and speed it up. So what I'm gonna do is just get a 3-phase motor, and it's supposed to be mounted inboard. So there's basically a plate in there that swings. So I'm gonna mount a motor inboard like it should be, and then get rid of this whole setup, get a little 3-phase motor, get a VFD, and then I'll have really good speed control. And then this will be a super handy tool because this is a really, really heavy duty old bandsaw. And I'll have to clean up, when I get the motor, I'm gonna take apart all these, like the guide linkage and everything, clean everything up and grease that. But the main thing that's been keeping me from doing this was that table was broke, and I wasn't sure if I could fix that casting that broke. And without that, the thing's really junk. So that's probably why it was why I have a hold of it now is because it was someone just wrote it off as junk. So, but anyways, that's done, and maybe in another video I'll put the next phase of this when I get a hold of a motor and a VFD. So, thanks for tagging along. Hopefully that was interesting.